Hello, my friends. I hope you're doing really well. My family, we've had a wonderful summer, a lot of time together, and school was right on our heels. All you teachers out there, we salute you and hope you survive those first few weeks. I got to share a little bit about my summer, about running in the Edmonton Marathon, which running slash hobbling slash barely crawling. And I got to share about how having people around you to help carry you all the way to the finish. Having some friends, family, it can mean a world of difference. If you want to check that out, you can see it at Truer Measure on Substack. Check it out. Let me know what you think. And if looking for more of those your way as well. Now, real estate. How's the real estate market looking as we are here halfway through 2026? What does our market look like? We've seen some ups, we've seen some downs, we've seen some stability. And I think that's where we are right now. Typically as we hit summer, things do slow down. People are going away. They're doing their holidays. They're going running marathons. They're going to eat ice cream. Those are all fantastic things. And it also means that usually the shoppers, the buyers aren't necessarily going to be as active as they were earlier on in the year. So that spring market's going to be hotter. Once we hit in that first couple weeks of September, usually people start thinking, we're going to go buy a house before it gets to Christmas. And then we have a good, strong market up until it gets cold, -20, -30. Oh my gosh, let's not think about that. But until it gets cold, and then it'll stabilize there through Christmas in January. And then we start the whole shift all over again. So now we're sitting here in August. We're looking back at last month's number. Then we look here at Edmonton and surrounding areas, which include Spruce Grove, St. Albert, Stony Plain, Sherwood Park, Leduc, Morinville, all those communities that surround and make up the Edmonton greater area. And that's what we're looking at for our stats. So let's see how things have been moving here. Specifically, let's look at our current inventory. We've had about 4,200 properties come up this past month, which is down a little bit from the month prior, down 1%. And then our sales, we have about 2,553 sales when we're looking back at last month. And then the month before that, we saw some more activity. We saw 2,700. So we've seen a bit of that sale activity drop down about 8%, which is pretty common as we head through the summer months. And then our total inventory was sitting at 8,142. So new inventory, our total inventory, we've got about 3.2 months of inventory. So we're just on that side. So usually 4 months and up is going to be a balanced market. Really, I feel like it's more of 3 months and up. And so I would say generally when we're looking at our Edmonton market, we're pretty much in a balanced market there where it's good for sellers and good for buyers, closer to the seller's market than it is to a buyer's market once we go underneath that 3. But that's where we sit currently in a pretty decent market. Good market for sure. And our highest sale we saw for single family detached home was $3.1 million. And then our highest condo was $920,000. And that pushes us into our average pricing. What has our pricing been looking like? As we look at our detached homes, those are sitting at an average price of $585,000, which is down 1% month over month and 1% year over year. So pretty stable there. Semi-detached half duplex properties, $425,000, which is down 2% month over month and down 1% year over year. And those row and townhome properties, attached properties, those are sitting at $292,000, down 3% month over month and down 1% year over year. Apartment style condos, those are at $214,000, which is down 2% month over month and up 2% year over year. So really no big movements one way or another. That detached property type is still the strength of our market here, and that's performing still well. And then the other ones are just a little bit down, a little bit up. I think we'll probably see that as we go into look at August's numbers next month. We'll probably see something similar, maybe a little bit down for some of these numbers, maybe just a tiny bit up. And then I think it's going to stay relatively stable there. The other thing we look at is our average days on market. Our average days on market currently are sitting at 35 for that greater Edmonton area. And last year was 31. So a bit of an increase there. So what we can see is our market not quite as active, not pushing those prices up just as much with a little bit less buyer activity. So we're seeing some inventory increase, some sales moderating and staying stable. I think that leads us to have some relatively stable numbers for the rest of this year. I don't think we're going to see any big jumps up for the rest of this year. That might be more something we would see perhaps in 2027. I think we'll see a relatively stable market as we're looking at Edmonton and area. Now, as we expand out, we look not only at the Edmonton market, but let's look specifically at St. Albert. For those of you who live out there and you want to know what's this market looking like currently, we've got 114 active properties, 16 pending, which is down slightly. We had 116 last month. And our active properties are staying relatively stable. And then our sales stable again, 95 this month, 95 the month prior, 111 the year prior. So again, we're seeing some flat market there, and with the sales going down about 14% year over year. And over 50% of those sales are under 600,000. That's the strength of this market. And our days on market are sitting at 25 days on market here for us. And 29 was the month prior, and last year was 24. So we're still seeing strength here in this St. Albert market. And our average price point for a single family detached home is 651,000. The month prior was 661, so we dropped a little bit there. And our median pricing is 577, and the month prior was 599. So a little bit of a drop there, but nothing significant at all. And then last year was $625,000 for our average price, and 574,900 was the median. So we're almost 4% last year and down about 1.5% from month to month. And then our highest sale in here, we saw a $2.99 million home sale in Jensen Lakes. And then the lowest sale was a $361,500 home in Mission. And we look at our inventory and our sales, what we see is we've got months of inventory out here of 1.2. So same as the month prior, still very much a seller's market. And if you're looking out here, property go quick and the good ones do not last long at all. So that's what our market is looking like out here right now. Very active, very strong for St. Albert. And you're going to see similar numbers if you looked out in Sherwood Park. Two very strong markets when we look at our community out here. And then in Edmonton, you're going to get some pockets, some neighborhoods where you're going to see numbers just like this. 1 month of inventory, very high, strong seller's market. And then you see other markets that are sitting at 5-6 months in inventory. So Edmonton is a diverse community, lots of different areas, and it really gives an average about of our whole community. So if you want detailed info, let me know. I can give you some detailed market info about your neighborhood specifically. But in general, that's what we're looking at right now. A stable market, a market that's trending well with sub-markets like these suburbs like St. Albert, Sherwood Park, and then other markets within the city of Edmonton that are performing very strong and are still very competitive. I hope this information makes sense. Let me know if you've got any questions. I'm here to serve you however I can. And I hope you have a wonderful back to school. All right, my friends, we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.